It was the kind of flight I normally wouldn't have thought twice about, routine, impersonal. But that day, everything changed when I met my seatmate. I never expected that sitting next to a stranger on a plane could alter my perspective on life. And yet, there I was, caught in the electric pull of someone I had never met before. It started in the airport parking lot, where I noticed him first. He was getting out of his car, looking around as if he was taking in the surroundings for the last time. Something about his presence intrigued me. By the time we were both waiting in line at check-in, I couldn't shake the feeling that our meeting wasn't a coincidence. He stood close, too close perhaps, but it felt natural. His dark eyes met mine and held, the kind of look that felt a little too long, a little too deep for a casual exchange. I quickly averted my gaze, pretending not to notice the intensity in the air. We exchanged no more than a few polite words as we moved through the security line and then again at baggage claim. He had a quiet confidence about him, something magnetic, and each time our paths crossed, I couldn't help but notice how my heart rate seemed to pick up just a little. It was nothing overt, just a feeling of something building under the surface. The moment we boarded, it seemed as if the world had conspired to seat us together. I had no idea what seat he had, but when I reached my row, I found him already settled beside the window. Our eyes met again, this time with an unspoken acknowledgement. I was sitting next to him. First, I thought it was a coincidence. I would just sit down, ignore the fact that there was a palpable tension between us, and go about the rest of the flight. But as I settled into my seat, I felt his presence in a way I hadn't expected. It was a subtle pressure, like the weight of his body near mine was pulling my focus. His scent, a mix of cologne and something uniquely his, made the cramped airplane seat suddenly feel much too small. I glanced at him, trying to look casual, but it didn't escape me that his gaze lingered just a little longer than usual. He smiled, a small, quiet smile, and I felt it in my chest. "Looks like we're seatmates," he said, his voice smooth and calm. I nodded, unsure of what to say next. The flight attendants moved down the aisle, offering drinks, but my mind was preoccupied. I couldn't get rid of the thought that something was shifting between us, something I hadn't planned on and certainly wasn't ready for. What was it about this man that had me on edge? Why did everything about him feel so much more intense than it should? As the plane ascended, I tried to focus on the movie screen in front of me, but all I could think about was the seatmate beside me and the way his presence seemed to heighten every sensation. There was no denying it now. Something was happening. The flight was steady, but my mind was anything but calm. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was building between us. Every glance seemed to carry more weight, every shift in his seat sending a ripple of electricity through the air. The quiet hum of the plane was drowned out by the racing thoughts in my head. I tried to focus on the in-flight movie, but it was impossible. My seatmate, I still hadn't learned his name, seemed to have an almost magnetic presence, like he was a constant pull on my attention. Every movement he made was purposeful but casual, as if he was used to being the center of attention without trying. He was just that kind of person, I realized, the kind of person who could fill a room with his presence, without saying a word. A flight attendant came down the aisle, offering drinks, and I took the opportunity to turn my attention away, if only for a moment. But when I turned back, he was watching me again. His eyes were darker than before, more intense. There was something about the way he looked at me that made my heart beat a little faster. "Can I get you something?" the attendant asked, and I quickly rattled off my order, feeling embarrassed for no reason. When I looked back at my seatmate, he was still watching me. A small, knowing smile played on his lips, and it made my stomach flutter. "Anything good on the movie?" he asked, his voice low and smooth. I glanced at the screen, but it was just some generic action film. "Nothing worth watching," I replied, trying to sound casual. But my voice betrayed me, shaky and uncertain. He chuckled softly, the sound low and warm. "Yeah, I figured. Seems like it's always the same on these flights. But hey," he added, his eyes flicking down to the blanket on my lap, "you can always make your own entertainment." My breath caught in my throat at his words. "Hey, thanks for watching until this point. Please leave a comment if you're enjoying the video. It really helps us grow the channel and reach more people. And hey, thank you very much. Let's get back to story. Was I imagining the double meaning? My mind raced and I tried to laugh it off, unsure of how to respond. Was he flirting with me? I had no idea, but the tension between us was undeniable. As the flight continued, the space between us seemed to grow smaller, even though there was a row of seats between us. It was the kind of space where I couldn't stop feeling him next to me, where every time he shifted, I felt it in my chest, as though his movements had some kind of gravitational pull on my body. The warmth of his body, the slight shift of his legs against mine, and the way he occasionally glanced at me made it harder to ignore. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to look away. Every time our eyes met, the air seemed to crackle with an intensity that neither of us acknowledged, but both of us felt. The moment felt stretched out, as if the seconds themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. I didn't know what it was, but I could feel it building, the slow dance of attraction, of something we hadn't yet named but both knew was there. Finally, the silence broke when he leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. "I'm not usually like this on flights," he said, his words almost a confession, but his eyes were searching mine for something. "Like what?" I asked, unsure if I was ready for the answer. He didn't reply immediately, his gaze flickering briefly to the blanket still draped over my lap before meeting my eyes again. "Let's just say," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I'm usually more reserved, but something about tonight. About this?" He trailed off, leaving the sentence unfinished, but the meaning was clear. I swallowed, my throat dry. What was happening? I didn't know, but I couldn't deny how much I wanted to find out. The air felt thick with possibility, and I couldn't bring myself to move away. Instead, I shifted slightly in my seat, leaning just a little closer to him. And then, as if on cue, the flight attendant came by again, this time handing us our drinks. It was a momentary distraction, but when she left, the space between us seemed even smaller, the tension thicker than before. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The connection, the attraction, the unspoken words. It was all there, lingering in the air between us. The plane seemed to stretch on forever, but it wasn't just the journey that felt endless. The tension between us had grown so thick that every passing minute felt like an eternity. The quiet hum of the engines was the only sound in my head, drowning out everything except for the rhythmic beat of my heart. I shifted uncomfortably in my seat, the weight of the blanket on my lap suddenly feeling much heavier than before. My mind was racing, but my body was responding to him, to the way his eyes never quite left mine, to the way he moved just enough to invade my space without saying a word. The plane lights dimmed slightly, and the flight attendants made their rounds, checking on passengers. The cabin was quieter now, and I felt like it was just the two of us left in the world. His gaze never wavered, and my pulse quickened. He hadn't touched me yet, not truly, but I felt the promise of it in the air. His proximity, his intensity, it was almost unbearable. And then, just as I thought I couldn't take the silence anymore, he spoke. His voice was lower than usual, a hushed whisper, as though he was trying to keep our conversation just between us. "Would you mind if I got a blanket?" he asked, his eyes flicking toward the overhead compartment. I blinked, startled by the question. He had a blanket already, but it didn't matter. It wasn't the question itself that had my heart racing. It was the way he said it, the way his words carried that same weight, that same quiet intensity that had been building between us since we boarded. I nodded, swallowing hard, unsure of what to do next. He returned with the blanket, and when he sat back down, he didn't cover himself completely. Instead, he let the edge of the blanket rest casually over his lap, draping it just enough to give him an excuse to get closer. His leg brushed against mine, and I could feel the heat radiating from him, even through the fabric of the blanket. I tried to ignore it, but the sensation was electric. My pulse was loud in my ears, and I could barely focus on anything except the overwhelming presence of him. I felt the weight of the moment press down on me, the knowledge that whatever happened next would change everything between us. Then, before I could react, His hand shifted under the blanket. At first, it was just a brush against my knee, the lightest touch, almost accidental. But it wasn't accidental. I could tell by the way his fingers lingered there, just long enough to make my heart race even faster. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. His fingers moved slightly, testing the waters, a subtle caress that sent shockwaves of heat through my body. My mind screamed at me to pull away, but my body wasn't listening. It wanted him in a way that I couldn't explain. I shifted my legs slightly, giving him more space, giving in to the growing desire. The seconds felt like hours, and in that moment, I knew that neither of us could pretend anymore. There was something undeniable between us, something neither of us had been able to resist. I leaned back in my seat, trying to steady my breath, but every inch of me was alive with anticipation. He didn't stop. His fingers slid further, brushing against the fabric of my pants. The pressure was gentle, teasing, but it was enough to make me tense, my entire body becoming aware of every single movement. He was taking control in a way that I hadn't expected, and I couldn't deny how much I liked it. "Is this okay?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. His hand was still under the blanket, pressing lightly against me, and I could feel the heat of his touch through the thin layer of fabric. I didn't answer at first. I couldn't find the words. Instead, I closed my eyes for a moment, collecting my thoughts, trying to wrap my mind around what was happening. But there was no mistaking it. His touch, the way he moved, the way he made me feel, it was more than okay. I nodded, unable to speak, my heart pounding in my chest. And that was all the permission he needed. The cabin felt smaller now, the air thicker, charged with the intensity that had been building between us since the moment we met. His touch became bolder, more confident, slipping further under the blanket. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, every part of me alive with the sensation of his fingers pressing against the fabric, teasing, exploring. I kept my eyes closed, trying to steady my breath, but it was almost impossible. Each movement, each touch, sent jolts of electricity through me, making my body ache with a longing I hadn't expected. My heart raced faster, my pulse pounding in my ears as the reality of what was happening started to sink in. He wasn't just touching me now. His fingers traced the outline of my leg, moving slowly but purposefully. His movements were deliberate, the tension between us palpable as he inched closer, testing the boundaries that had been set, boundaries that were now becoming irrelevant. I felt his breath on my neck, warm and steady, his body so close that I could feel every subtle shift he made. I wanted to pull away, to stop this before it went any further, but my body betrayed me. I didn't want to stop, couldn't stop. This was happening, and there was no turning back. His hand moved higher, brushing against the bulge in my pants, and I couldn't help the low groan that escaped my lips. It wasn't even a sound I consciously made. It was just the natural response to his touch, to the way he made me feel so exposed and yet, somehow, completely desired. His fingers brushed against me again, this time more firmly, and I felt my body tense in response. I wanted to reach for him, to return the touch, but something held me back. I wasn't sure if it was fear, guilt, or the realization that what we were doing was dangerous, but it didn't matter. His hand was there, and I couldn't pull away. "You're making me lose control," I whispered, the words slipping out before I could stop them. He paused for a moment, his hand still resting on me, before he leaned in closer. His lips were just a breath away from my ear, and I could feel his hot breath against my skin as he whispered back, "It's okay, let go. You don't have to fight it." The words, simple as they were, sent a wave of heat through me. There was no more denying it. We were both in this now, both craving something we couldn't put into words. My body responded before my mind could make sense of what was happening, and I found myself pressing against him, needing more. His hand moved under the blanket, this time brushing against the button of my pants, and I shivered involuntarily. I couldn't stop the reaction, couldn't hide the way my body was betraying me. The tension was unbearable, and I didn't want it to stop. "Are you sure?" I asked, my voice low and uncertain. He didn't answer at first. Instead, he leaned in and kissed me, soft, hesitant at first, like he was waiting for me to pull away. But I didn't. I kissed him back, deeper this time, feeling the pressure build between us. My hand moved to his chest, feeling the warmth of his body beneath the fabric, and I felt a surge of need that I couldn't deny any longer. His lips moved against mine, hot and insistent, and I couldn't focus on anything except the way he made me feel. It was like the world outside had stopped existing, and there was only him and me, wrapped in this forbidden moment. The flight attendants had passed by earlier, but we were past the point of caring about anything but each other. The world seemed to fall away, leaving us in a bubble of desire that was both overwhelming and intoxicating. His hand slid under the waistband of my pants, and I sucked in a sharp breath, my body arching involuntarily at the sensation. It was a moment of raw connection, one that neither of us had expected but couldn't stop. I wanted to pull back, to stop this before it went too far, but all I could do was surrender to the pull between us. This wasn't just a flight. This was the moment where everything changed. The kiss broke for a moment, both of us breathless, and I looked at him, unsure of what was happening, but also unable to pull away. "Do you want to stop?" he asked softly, his voice almost a whisper. I shook my head, my breath shallow, my heart racing. "No," I whispered back, "I don't want to stop." And that was all the permission he needed. The plane was dim now, with the lights turned low for the night. The soft hum of the engines and the occasional clink of the seatbelt signs were the only sounds that filled the cabin. Our kiss had left me dizzy, and I could still taste him on my lips, the warmth of his breath still lingering in the air between us. It felt like a dream, something I hadn't allowed myself to imagine before. But here we were, two men caught in a moment neither of us had expected. But now, neither of us could ignore. His hand continued its slow, deliberate path, tracing the outline of my body beneath the blanket, each touch more intense than the last. I could feel his fingers brushing against me, testing the limits, and my body was no longer a place of resistance. It responded to him, every movement, every touch sending a shiver of need straight through me. There was something about this moment that was entirely different from anything I'd ever experienced before. The weight of our closeness, the intensity of the forbidden nature of it, made everything feel heightened. I could feel the heat from his hand seeping through my clothes, each touch igniting something inside me that I didn't know was there. The more he touched me, the more I realized that this wasn't just about the physical connection. It was about something deeper, something that went beyond the here and now. I couldn't quite put it into words, but the connection between us felt undeniable. This wasn't just a random encounter. This was something that had been building, something that had been there, hidden beneath the surface, for far longer than either of us cared to admit. "Are you sure about this?" I asked, my voice a low murmur, unsure if I wanted to hear the answer. He didn't respond immediately, but I could see the conflict in his eyes. I knew he was questioning everything just like I was. There were 1,000 reasons why this shouldn't be happening, 1,000 risks we were taking by letting this continue. But in that moment, none of those reasons mattered. His hand moved lower, and I sucked in a sharp breath as he brushed against the edge of my jeans. His eyes met mine, searching for something, permission, reassurance, or maybe just the confirmation that I felt the same pull. He didn't need to ask again. I leaned into him, my lips finding his once more, and the kiss deepened, more urgent this time, as though we were both trying to make up for lost time. I could feel his heart beating beneath his chest, matching the erratic pace of my own. His hands moved more freely now, no longer hesitant, as they explored the sensitive spots on my body. I wasn't sure if I should stop him, but all I could do was let him continue, to let myself feel everything he was offering. It was like time had stopped, the world outside the plane disappearing as we lost ourselves in each other. There was no longer any sense of the passengers around us, no longer any thought of the consequences. All I could think about was him, the way his lips felt against mine, the way his hands moved over my skin. We were both breathing heavily now, our bodies pressed together, every movement in sync with the other. His touch was like a drug, and I couldn't get enough. The tension between us was unbearable, but the pull was stronger, and neither of us was willing to let go. Eventually, we pulled away, both of us gasping for breath, our chests heaving. He leaned his forehead against mine, his breath warm against my skin as he tried to steady himself. I could feel the weight of the moment, the realization that this wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was something that had changed everything. "We can't keep doing this," I whispered, though I wasn't sure I meant it. He didn't answer at first. Instead, he pulled me closer, his lips brushing against my ear as he spoke softly. "We don't have to figure everything out right now," he said. "We can just enjoy this moment, just as." His words were like a balm, easing the uncertainty that had been gnawing at me. I wasn't ready to face the bigger picture, wasn't ready to deal with everything that would come after this. But right now, none of that mattered. What mattered was him and the way we made each other feel. I closed my eyes, sinking into the moment, letting the world outside fade away. It was just the two of us now, sharing something that was both intimate and electric. We didn't need to say anything more. The silence between us spoke volumes, a language we both understood without the need for words. The flight had long since ended, and the once heavy tension between us had faded into something more comfortable, more natural. As we walked through the airport together, it felt like a moment of calm after the storm. There was no need to speak about what had happened in the air. Neither of us could find the words to encapsulate the depth of what we had just shared. It was as if we were navigating through this new dynamic, testing the waters without an explicit commitment, but without hesitation either. As we made our way to the baggage claim, the airport bustling with travelers, I could feel his presence beside me, like an anchor. We didn't need to say much. Our connection had become clear, both unspoken and undeniable. The same energy that had started on the plane, lingering with every glance and touch, still hung between us like an invisible thread. We grabbed our bags, the routine of it almost surreal after everything that had happened. He gave me a slight smile, the corners of his lips lifting just enough to hint at something more. "How about we grab some coffee?" he suggested, his voice steady but with an edge of something softer, more intimate. I nodded. Felt like the right thing to do. "Yeah, let's," I replied, my voice carrying that same warmth I felt in his company. We exited the baggage area and stepped into the crowd of people waiting for taxis and rides, the sounds of the terminal surrounding us, but it was as though we existed in a world of our own. At the cafe, we sat at a small table, the air between us comfortable but still thick with unspoken emotions. We both knew we had crossed a line, but what came next? We couldn't go back to what we were, yet neither of us was sure how to define this new phase of our relationship. "Do you think we're making a mistake?" I asked quietly, my gaze focused on the coffee in my hands. It wasn't a question I was sure I wanted to hear an answer to, but I needed to know if he was feeling the same uncertainty I was. He took a slow sip from his cup before responding, his voice calm but sincere. "No, I don't think it's a mistake," he said. "I think it's just new. We don't need to rush it. Let's see where it goes." I smiled, relieved to hear his words. There was something reassuring in his calm demeanor, in the way he spoke like he had everything figured out, even if I didn't. We finished our drinks in silence, both of us lost in our thoughts, but not in an uncomfortable way. There was no need for more words at that moment. The connection we shared was clear, stronger than anything we'd experienced before. As we stood to leave, he placed a hand on my shoulder. A simple gesture, but it felt like so much more. "I'm glad we met," he said softly, his voice full of quiet certainty. "Me too," I whispered back. "Me too." We stepped outside, the sun beginning to set, casting a golden hue across the airport parking lot. I knew our journey together wasn't going to be easy. There were still challenges ahead, questions that needed answering, and consequences to face. But for the first time in a long time, I felt ready. Ready to face whatever came next, as long as we faced it together. As we drove away from the airport, the city lights flickering in the distance. I glanced at him once more. There was no need for words. Whatever we had started, whatever this was, it was far from over. It was just the beginning.